Hello everyone, David Hedge here, and this is my night 2 review of WrestleMania 40. I do apologize for my voice being a little bit hoarse, but I wanted to get this video out now because I don't know when I'll be able to do a review for WrestleMania 40 with everything else coming up. And plus this weekend I got Romeo and Juliet, dinosaurs, and hockey. Never thought I'd have to say that phrase in one sentence, but you know what? Love working the Berglund Center. Anyway, let's get started. All right, first up, we had Stephanie McMahon greet everybody like Triple H did the night before, welcoming everyone to the Paul Levesque era of WWE, and then we got right down to it. We had Drew McIntyre going up against Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Drew McIntyre came out with the Scottish Warriors and the drum line, and Seth Rollins had one of the weirdest entrances I have ever seen. A colorful band of from a Mama's Parade. Our Mama's Parade is what they do up in Philly for the New Year's Eve celebration. Please let me know in the comments below if I mispronounced that, and I'm more than glad to correct that. But anyway, they got in the ring. Seth Rollins, even though he didn't look like he was showing any wear and tear from the night before, he definitely was within the second that bell rang, because Drew McIntyre hit him with a Claymore, and I thought that was going to be it. But Rollins was able to kick out, and then for 10 minutes, they basically spammed finishers. You had a stomp in the ring. You had 2 more Claymores. You had a stomp on the table. You had a pedigree on the outside. All the while, Drew McIntyre is messing with CM Punk, who was at commentary for the match. Everything was basically just all finishers all the time, high octane, high impact, and it ended when Drew McIntyre was able to hit one more Claymore, 1, 2, 3, and won the World Heavyweight Championship. The crowd popped for it huge. You could see that Drew was very emotional because this is the first time he won a world title in that kind of a magnitude of a crowd. Yeah, he's held the titles in Impact Wrestling and everything like that, but nothing this big. And so he had a moment with Seth Rollins. He went out, he went to his family, and he thought for 1 minute that he was going to go up the ramp, but then he looked back at Punk. And all throughout the match, he kept messing with CM Punk. He went to Punk, got on the table. I guarantee you I saw a few women faint in the front row because of how he crawled on the table. And he started talking to Punk. As soon as he was done, he made the one mistake. He got up on the table, looked away from Punk. Punk swept his legs from under him and proceeded to hit him with the arm brace that he had on. After he hit him with the arm brace right in the face, and then a few stomps, next thing you know, you hear the Judgment Day music of Damian Priest play, and he is cashing in his Money in the Bank, which, by the way, he did a run-by hit with the case before cashing it in. Threw Drew McIntyre in the ring, hit the biggest South of Heaven he's probably ever hit in his career for the 1, 2, 3, and he is your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. The crowd went wild for this, and this was one heck of a way to start off WrestleMania. You had Drew McIntyre distraught after losing the belt. CM Punk was doing clapping while he was sitting on the table, and you had Damian Priest celebrating with Judgment Day. And Drew McIntyre, in that moment, he wasn't mad at Priest, he was mad at Punk. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did not see Punk versus McIntyre somewhere in the future, most likely in the Devil's Playground, that is Hell in a Cell. Next up, we had a 6-man tag, which was the final testament of Karrion Kross and AOP, with Scarlett and Paul Ellering going up against the Pride of Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, accompanied by B-Fab. You also had Bubba Ray Dudley as the referee for this thing. You had Snoop Dogg on commentary, and this was a good, fun plunder match. There was a lot of clubbering, as the American Dream would say. I could do that so much better. I just can't do it right now. But you had these 6 men who, unfortunately, a lot of people have seen in a lackluster feud over the past few weeks. I think they did a really good job in this match. Being able to utilize all the plunder, whether it be kendo sticks, chairs, tables. There was a cool spot where Scarlett took a Russian leg sweep from B-Fab into a table to the outside. But the biggest turning point in the whole thing was AOP was taken out by Montez Ford doing this dive over the, and this was the dangest thing. He did it over the turnbuckle, over the ring post, onto the AOP, almost landed in the 5th row. That gentleman can get so much height and he is a spectacular athlete to be able to do that. But Karrion Kross got in Bubba's face. Bubba pulled out the old Bubba Ray Dudley glasses, and Karrion Kross, that was pretty much the end for him. He got put in the what's up. We had Montez Ford and Bobby Lashley holding on to the legs of Kross. Montez Ford at the top rope, and you have Bubba Ray doing directorial duties, getting everybody in place. And then all of a sudden, all four men went, "What's up?" and just did the dive, hit Karrion Kross with it. They went to go get a table. They put Karrion on the table. The table went, nope. Table broke. That was fine. They had a spare table. Went to get the spare table. Next thing you know, Montez Ford grabs a kendo stick and starts waylaying on Karrion Kross. And then they put him on the table. Montez Ford hits a giant frog splash for the 1-2-3, and a very fun, like 10-minute street fight. It was what it needed to be. It was like right off the bat. It was a fun type plunder match. Bubba Ray did a great job as reffing. Snoop Dogg did a funny job as commentary. You could tell he was having a blast of being able to do commentary on this match. And I think it was a good way to blow off the feud. And as I sit here right now, we have the Final Testament and NXT right now, getting ready to start a feud against Axiom and Nathan Frazier for the NXT Tag Team Championships, which I think should be really good. Two high flyers against the big guys in AOP. But all in all, I thought this was a great match, and it was a nice follow-up to the chaos and high impact that we had in the first two matches for the World Heavyweight Championship. Next up, we had the grudge match between LA Knight and AJ Styles. Now, LA Knight came out in the Slim Jim car earlier in the evening, and then he gave the keys to this nice little old lady in the front row. Which my only thing is, I know this was product placement and all, but you just had these two men going into it for one big blood feud. And LA Knight had the time to give the keys to this little old lady to this car that she probably has no clue what she's doing with. I wish they would have done that as a backstage segment, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. As soon as AJ got out there, he ran out, had his new music, but you didn't get to hear it play too long because he just went out there and start wailing in LA Knight. And these two had a fun match. It was not a match to write home about, but I think it was one of the best matches that LA Knight has had in quite some time. And with AJ Styles, who would have followed it? These two went at it a whole lot, and there was one spot AJ went up for a big 450 splash springboard. LA Knight got his knees up. You can definitely tell both of them were hurting shortly thereafter that. But in the end, LA Knight was able to stop a flying forearm from AJ Styles. AJ hit the ropes. LA Knight hit the BFT, blunt force trauma, for the 1-2-3, and possibly one of the biggest wins in his career. They both did a fantastic job. AJ was working the leg the whole time. You actually had Pat McAfee. At one point, AJ was putting LA Knight's leg into the ring post, and McAfee's like, he's wrapping his leg around a meat stick or something like that. And I'm like, well, that's a phrase that actually happened at WrestleMania 40. I guess I'm going to take it. But like I said, LA Knight had a great showing in this, and AJ, as always, is phenomenal. Next up, we have for the U.S. title, Logan Paul defending against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Logan Paul came out with a prime cannon on the back of a truck, fired it at the stage, flashy and everything. We had the prime bottle mascot, which that plays into it a little bit later. You had Kevin Owens come out. He had ECW inspired gear. He had a cart that he rode down the ring, but then he backed up because he forgot his friend Randy Orton. Orton got on the back, and he had somewhat of a WrestleMania cart entrance, if you will. And they did this whole thing where Orton and Owens were on the same page because they had one common objective. They hated Logan Paul, and Logan Paul just took a beating right at the very beginning. I loved when Orton and Owens were basically backdropping, doing back suplexes onto the table. Orton did it first to Logan Paul, and Owens was like, let me try. And Owens picks him up, drops him on the table, and Orton's like, no, you need to get bigger height. Does it again, and for the first few minutes of this thing, Logan Paul was their beating stick. he got whooped 3 ways past Sunday. But then at one point, both of them were trying to pin Logan Paul, and then you had the fun moment going like, are we going to do this now? And Orton's like, no, let's go on ahead and keep beating him up. Kevin Owens went to beat up Logan Paul. Orton spins him around, tries going for the RKO. Kevin Owens stops it, and Orton does one of like one of those numbers. And I'm like, this is my kind of match right here. It was so much fun. And it got to the point where throughout the entire thing, you had these three men going at it, and you never really had an extended period where it was one-on-one, which I thought was really good, because usually in triple threat matches or fatal four ways, whatever, you're usually going to have an extended period where it's like one-on-one and the other combatants basically just lay out for a while. But in this case, all three were in there for the most part. You had double buckshot lariat. You had Logan Paul doing a splash on the Owens, or excuse me, a senton on the Owens, then gets up and does a frog splash on the Orton. I hate Logan Paul. Not just because of who he is, not just because he's a good heel, but he's damn sure talent. It frustrates me because it's a bunch of natural talent. And he really deserves where he's at right now. I think he's been doing a really good job as a U.S. champion. He's been doing a really good job in WWE in general. Just everybody wants to pay to see him get whooped. And that's what a great heel does, and that's what he's been doing. We get towards the end of the match where Orton had the match won, but unfortunately the Prime bottle interfered, and it's ISO Speed, which is another streamer, and he did a very colorful language towards Randy Orton and did a lot of barking. And Orton did the damnedest Spartan kick I have ever seen. He kicks ISO Speed, his cap on the Prime bottle suit flies off, and he skids like 3 or 4 feet because of that outfit. And then Orton picks him up, clears off the table, gets him on the table, barks at him, gives him an RKO, ISO Speed, done after that. Like, there was no movement out of that boy when it was all said and done. But in the end, there were several stunners and RKO that was involved, but Logan Paul was able to win with a gigantic frog splash on the Kevin Owens 1, 2, 3 to retain his United States title. Again, a fun match. Really enjoyed it. It was definitely one of the better three-way matches I've seen in quite some time. And I wanted Orton to win, but you know what? Logan Paul winning is definitely not a bad thing. Hopefully in the future, it can be him versus LA Knight going into SummerSlam, or at some point before, who knows? But I think right now, Logan Paul having the U.S. title, being this hot heel, is definitely the way to go after this match. Next up in the semi-main event, we had Bayley going after Io Sky for the Women's Championship. And the entrances for these two were very different, because you had Bayley come out in this whole Egyptian garb. Looks like she had gear that was inspired by either Buster Blader or one of the Egyptian goddesses, which either way, it was beautiful. It was marvelous. And Io Sky comes out. She has herself all over the Titantrons and everything. And right from the get-go, this match had a lot of gravity to it, or gravitas. They were well grounded too, because Bayley was getting her leg attacked by Io Sky pretty much the entire match. And it was Bayley basically fighting from underneath. She was the bigger of the two. She was the taller. She was probably a bit stronger, but Io Sky had the ability and the agility. And just this whole time, they were telling a marvelous story. And if you can watch it, definitely catch it, because it was just such a great story. And it built to a crescendo when Bayley starts fighting back, and you start hearing the crowd come back, and the crowd's right behind her because they want her to win this match. She goes for a rose plant, and Io just rolls out of this thing. It was the smoothest thing I ever saw. I thought Bayley hit the rose plant, but she didn't. But Io was able to roll out of this thing. They went back and forth a little bit more, but it was Bayley to Bayley with an important counter, being able to hit a rose plant for the 1, 2, 3 and become the new women's champion for SmackDown. And I'm glad that they kept damage control out of it. They didn't have any interference going on. It was just one-on-one. And I know I just went a little bit fast with this one, but do yourself a favor. Go to the network. I think out of the two women's matches, they both serve their purpose. Rhea is just a dominant champion. Bayley had this amazing story to tell. But I think out of the two, I do prefer Bayley being The Bailey Io match being the better one, but not by much, because both these women's matches were really good. And I can't wait to see what happens with Bailey, and I can't wait to see what they do with Damage Control in the near future. All right, this may take a little bit, because now we're at the main event. Main event, Cody Rhodes going up against Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Championship. This match, from bell to bell, was just one of the best stories that they could have told, the great climax, and it was pretty much endgame. Right at the very beginning, you had to go just a little bit slow because you had Cody wanting to get weapons, Reigns went no, and Reigns just kept basically trying to deny people Rhodes having a weapon, but he was able to use them himself. But the match kept going back and forth. They did a little bit of brawling outside. But then what I thought was going to happen, happened. You had so much go on. Cody Rhodes went for the crossroads. Jimmy Uso interfered. Then you had Jey Uso come out. Jey spears Jimmy Uso off the ramp into some tables, taking them both out. Next thing you know, Solo Sikoa comes out after another attempt by Cody for crossroads. Solo and Reigns hits the spike spear combo. John Cena comes out. John Cena, who was taken out by Solo months ago, he's back for revenge. He gets it, does the AA on the Solo. Next thing you know, the final boss comes out. Rock's out there. Stare down with John Cena. John Cena's going, "You can't see me." Rock did. Gives him the rock bottom. All of a sudden, when the Rock is taking his belt off, you hear the Shield's music play. And I, along with a lot of other people, were going, "Is that Moxley? John Moxley's here?" No, it was Seth Rollins, but he served his purpose. He said he was going to be Cody's shield for that night and throughout this entire thing. He comes out, gets taken out by Reigns. Then the Rock's in there. He's getting ready to whoop Cody. And then all of a sudden you hear boom, boom. Lights go down. Lights come back up. The Undertaker is standing behind the Rock. And everybody was wondering, why is Undertaker involved in this match? Well, some people might have forgot that technically was going to be the Undertaker's retirement match of Undertaker being beat by Reigns. Granted, that didn't happen. We had COVID, and they had the one more match was AJ Styles versus the Undertaker. But with this being the case, I had no problems with it being Undertaker. Wish it could have been Austin, but be that as it may, Undertaker chokeslammed the Rock. Lights go out. Both of them are gone, and then it's down to Reigns, and it's down to Cody. Reigns has the chair. You have Cody on one side, you have an injured Seth Rollins on the other. And Reigns, not forgetting or forgiving what happened with the Shield breakup, grabs that chair, hits Seth Rollins with it. And that was his downfall. He should have went for Cody, because Cody was able to capitalize on this and was able to hit 3 crossroads. And then 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes finishing the story at WrestleMania. Pyro goes off. He has the family in. All the people that helped him out throughout the event that led up to WrestleMania. And then he called out Bruce Pritchard. He called out Triple H. He had his wife Brandy there. And it was a wonderful way to end WrestleMania. And I'm really glad that Cody Rhodes was able to finish the story. It was such a great feel-good moment. And Samantha Irvin doing her job with the commentary and everything. You had Michael Cole saying that he loved wrestling, and he was regaling about how he's seen Cody Rhodes grow up and everything that happened between Cody and WWE when he left, how he went out and he made his name and he came back, and now he is the undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champ. Thank you all so much for checking out this video. If you like it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and let everyone know that House Hedge Gaming is here for all of your gaming needs and a little bit of wrestling news as well. And hopefully next time you see me, my voice will definitely be a little bit more intact. But until next time, everyone, stay safe and take care, my friends.